Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here. And no Sam Pruitt. It's good to have you guys here for a solo episode. And I'm going to be talking to you about a book or a theory that's out, maybe you've heard about. It's called the Let Them Theory. So if you haven't heard of it, Let Them Theory is a book by the author Mel Robbins. And if you haven't heard of her, you maybe have been under a rock for a little bit, but she's been a very active podcaster, public speaker. She had another book called The 5 Second Rule years ago. So anyway, we're just going to jump down into it. And if any of you are triggered by the word control, prepare yourself because that's what we're going to be talking about. Because the Let Them theory is all about control or not lack of control, right? And I'll share some examples of how this has been showing up in my life. So Sam and I always love talking about things that are very topical. So I suggested her, I was like, I think I'm going to talk about the let them theory because I've been having and letting go, people have said it in slightly different ways, but it's just been showing up more and more in my life. And I was like, yeah, I want to spread this message and then, just be in conversation with you guys and see if you're getting this, if you get something out of it. We'd love to hear from you. As a recovering perfectionist and control freak, with a 20-year addiction, I would say that I've learned this lesson quite a bit. So, what I want to share with you is by the end of this, letting them, and the theory, and I'll go over that, is the act of gaining your power back. You think control is what you want. You think you're in control when we do some things, and I'll go into it, but it's actually disempowering you. And so the purpose of this is to share with you how you can get your power back, my friend. So, all right. So the let them theory is basically, Mel talks about it, how, we have those people in our life where I see this mostly, I don't have children, so, I'm giving this as a secondhand story, but I see this really coming into play with people who have kids, especially moms who have kids, where you raise these little ones for their whole life, and God bless them when they're teeny tiny, you're like everything to them, and they can barely, eat well, you're giving them everything, and then they go through life and you're bringing them up and you're making sure they get to their dentist appointments and get to school on time and get their clothes and their teeth brushed and get their homework done and stuff. So you're very involved. Their moms are very involved in kids' lives and helping them stay on track. And then there's like this tipping point. And I find that if moms that kind of have this need for control or like this still trying to control the outcome or the scenario that their kids are in, or they're disappointed because their kids aren't achieving or, doing what they want them to do, it's because they haven't reached that tipping point with their kids. The kids are like, hey, hands off, I got this, right? And the moms are still trying to act as if they're 6 or 8 or 10 and need their shoes tied for them and their teeth brushed, right? And when we let them fly the coop, they get, more on their own. So the let them series says, especially as I was saying, for moms, but this applies to me and my mom. So, I raise my hand here. It's like, let them is letting people do what they're going to do, say what they're going to say, and not do what they're not going to do, and just let them have their experience of life, right? And that includes a lot of things. So I have a bunch of notes that I want to share with you guys, but that's the basis of it, right? So letting them. And at first, when I read that, I was like, who are you to not let them? Like, I was like they need your permission. Each one of us is a whole complete person. We can make our own decisions. Like if somebody was trying to control you, you'd be like, hey, 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 I got this, right? Let me do it. Let me figure this out on my own. Let me say what I want to say, right? So let them is the theory. It's like, let them, um, you know, do what they want to do. And, the good news is about this is it's like, oh, holy smokes, right? A lot of stress in our lives comes from trying to control people or situations, like getting the perfect outcome or getting it just like this, right? It's got to show up, right? But it creates anxiety and disappointment, right? So if we're trying to control the outcome, trying to control the person, like you ought to, or shouldn't you, or don't do that, or do what I said, or that's a stupid decision, or whatever, right? who's the one suffering, right? It's us. Well, probably causing some strife between you and that person because they're like, hey, I got this, right? So, but a lot of times it's the disappointment that we feel and the anxiety that we feel of like, oh, they're going to do it wrong, or they're going to have this bad outcome, or they're going to turn out like terrible kids, right? Or turn out like terrible adults when they grow up. But it's like, man, you gotta let them do it. And like I said, that's her theory. She calls it let them. But you'll probably hear me say it's like you can't control them also. So so things like, if you're, needing people to get back to you, or if you're over planning events, or you're trying to, get people to do things at work that they don't work for you and stuff, right? All these things. So anytime you find yourself either like, it can show up too in like fear of saying things and fear of doing things. So like if you're fearful of judgment, right? So let people, judge you, right? Do the thing anyway. Say the thing that you need to say. Say what's on your heart. Say what's your truth, or post that thing. A lot of people don't want to post that because, like, oh, what will people say? Whatever's holding you back, right, from speaking your truth, speaking up, speaking out, you're being held back by your fear of their control over you, if you will. And anytime we're disappointed in others or we're frustrated with their decisions, that's us trying to control their outcomes, right? And yeah, granted, I get it. Like sometimes those people's lives can have an impact on our life too, right? So some examples with my mom, she'll do or not do, good care, self-care or exercise or sleep or whatnot, or taking her medications and whatnot. And it just, the trickle down of what happens in her life, or the results that she starts to get, does have an impact on my life. So I can understand from the moms or the people or anywhere in your life where you're trying to control the outcome, trying to control the scenario. It's probably, or often, you're seeing it as because it's going to come back to me, right? So granted, but most times it's just like, let those people do what they're going to do. So um, her book teaches you how to let go of control and trust more. And I would say the trust is in ourselves and others, right? Like trust yourself, especially on the speaking up and speaking out. Like trust yourself, like trust that, you have the inner self-confidence and the inner conviction, like this is my truth. Yeah, I'm going to speak it. This is how I see it, right? And let other people, like, let the chips fall where they may. Let them say what they want to say. Let them judge it. Let them, have a counter argument. So be it, right? Let them. So you can't control people, and that's actually a good thing. So when we stop micromanaging people and we let them make their own choices, guess what? It frees us both up, right? It frees them up. Go ahead, do it. Not like, like, oh yeah, idiot, go, yeah, let's see how that goes for you. But like, I wonder how this is going to turn out, right? So I do this a lot more with my mom these days. I'm like, oh, okay, mom, yeah, go ahead and do that or not do that, and we'll see, right? Instead of trying to prevent, keep her out of harm's way, or, bad things happening to her or whatever. It's like, you know what? I have now learned it's about allowing people to have their journey, right? Really allowing people to have their journey. It's not my journey. It would be my journey for her. I'd love to see her, good things for her. And I'm sure most of us, the things that we want to control or the people that we want to help avoid dangers or problems in their life is because we're well intended. It's either because it's going to come back on us, like something they screw up that we're going to have to fix or whatnot. But, just know that that's their journey. That's their journey, right? And the disappointment that we have is more about our expectations often than the other person's actions even, right? It's like I'm disappointed, my mom says disappointed to me, and I'm just like, yeah, there's some expectations. So I have let go of the word disappointment in my life. So I have a little lack of connection to this theory and doing this because a long time ago, I remember going through, I had done a little bit in the 12 steps work, and that beautiful prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? That right there is the let them theory to me wrapped up in a beautiful big bow, and it's got some other things, right? Because it's the courage to change the things that you can, knowing what you should and could and ought to act upon, right? The courage to make a difference in that thing, speaking up when it matters, right? But also having the wisdom to know the difference when we shouldn't. So just know, control is this illusion, and no matter how much we try to influence people's thoughts or actions, we can only do so much. And so do what, uh, I would say there's a fine line between like, hey, oftentimes in coaching, or I've learned this as a coach, and again, I haven't been a parent. So it's like, well, would you like some advice on that? Or would you like some coaching about that? Or would you like some feedback on that? That's asking them permission to do any of those things, feedback, advice, coaching, whatever. And if they say no, then that's their choice, right? So you can only do so much. And so, we want to be a contribution to people. We want to see them thrive. We want to see them do well. And guess what? We're all on uniquely different paths and journeys that we're supposed to bump into things. Like if our nest was totally feathered for the rest of our life, we'd be bored. We wouldn't grow. And that's not why we're here. We are here to grow and bump into things and have breakdowns and breakthroughs and confusion that creates clarity, and upset that creates certainty, all this stuff. It's a magnificent dance. So letting them teaches you about yourself. And when you stop trying to fix others, because that's often like what's in the prescription behind that of, why you're disappointed, you have these expectations, you're trying to fix them and make them this way. And I'm saying you, but I'm speaking it just into my own ears as well, right? And I've been doing a lot more of this. I've let myself off the hook, but I'm doing much more in my intimate relationship with my mother. And definitely we can apply this in partnership, right? Where we have some expectations of them and this and they should and whatnot. It just teaches us where we're out to fix someone and not let them be themselves and not let them be their beautiful selves. So just be aware of that. And setting boundaries, maybe something that we need to instill. So you might look at, do I need to set some boundaries? And that just means saying no without guilt. That's speaking up for yourself, right? That's not, causing this friction with that other person where you let them get away with things. It's like, no, let them think what they're going to think. I'm going to set a boundary. Like this is how it is. So letting go naturally strengthens your own boundaries, right? It helps you stop doing things out of obligation and start honing your own needs for space, your own needs and space, right? So I would say when you're wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable, like people who don't text back or bosses who don't promote you, you're just wasting your time, right? On the uncontrollable. And in that beautiful prayer, it's like, let me focus on the things that are within my reach, that are within my control, that I have a say of, like oftentimes there's some things that are so big, like people get so frustrated and so upset about the things that are going on in the government. Do what you can and then let the things be out of your hands that you can't control. We can't move, major mountains. And if you can, then get after it. Like take those actions that you can, but the rest, letting go. So stop trying to control the uncontrollable in your life and noticing the difference. Like noticing the difference, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. This is uncontrollable. I can't change this. Then I'll let it. But if I can change this thing, then get up to that. Focus your energy on those things, right? And, the idea is for people who feel stuck from trying to gain approval or control outcomes. Gaining approval, like not speaking up and speaking out, you're, you know, manipulating them, manipulating what you say, what you post, what you share, or you're trying to control the outcomes. And it leads to frustration and burnout, right? So just be aware of that. And the let them theory encourages you to stop trying to change others, let them judge you, let them ignore you, let them cancel plans, and start focusing your energy where it really matters, right? Your own actions and reactions, right? So they say this, you let them say it, right? And work on yourself. Work on our emotional mastery when those things are said or those actions are taken. Can I let it go? Can I release the control that I thought I had, the illusion anyway, can I release the control that I thought I had? Let them do what they're going to do so that I feel back at peace in my body. Because the more I try to hold on to control, might control them or that outcome that I have no control over, I only feel helpless and hopeless at times, right? So letting them puts the power back in my hands to control the things that I can control, my response to that, my reaction to that, my emotional state when that happens in the now, and when there's an impact on that in the future, so be it, right? So, another way is like if you're scared to post online for fear of judgment, that's part of this, right? Let them judge you, right? Their opinion doesn't determine your worth. Keep that in mind, right? And I would challenge you to do one thing today that you've been hesitating to do because of others' opinions. Where are you letting other people's opinions or judgments or fear of being judged or made fun of or whatever, but you're holding something back. You're holding your words, you're holding your self-expression in, you're holding yourself back. And I challenge you to say what you mean and mean what you say, to have the courage within you to speak your truth, to speak your truth with compassion. Let me add that because it's just flat out speaking the truth. Gotta be a little sensitive there. But speak it, like speak your truth, and especially if it's meaningful to you. If it doesn't matter that much, then don't say things that, it's not going to move the needle on your life or theirs. Just let that go. So the antithesis, like check this out, is the let me principle, right? The other half of this is where you take ownership of your actions instead of staying passive. And I love this idea. So let me, and so let them, and then let me, right? So let them ignore you and let me focus on people who value me, right? Let them not promote me and then let me take charge of my own career, right? I'm back in power. So this, just look at places where if you say, I let them, and now let me, what is my work, right? Letting go naturally strengthens your boundaries. Instead of focusing on what someone didn't do, focus on what you appreciate about them, right? Like let them, right? So if you're stop chasing people who are distant and unreliable, I love that one. I love that one. So I was having that in experience with a friend recently where we had a fallout last year and I contacted her several times, tried to make amends, took responsibility for all the things that I could in that conversation, absolutely agreed with what she was having to say. And then she still wanted to kind of make me wrong and hold things against me. And all I could offer to her was, love and affinity and try to repair amends, right? And if that person I've tried to follow up a few times, just not returning phone calls, MIA, becoming distant. If they're distant or unreliable, well, let them drift, right? And let me invest in people who appreciate me, right? Just because I faltered in one project and we had like the people who really are up to what you're up to in life, who really care for you and love you, they know, and yeah, we're not all perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to screw it up. And if we apologize and we make, like you have a good heart. And sometimes depending on the nature of the breakdown, it might take a while to rebuild, big things like infidelity, that can wait, that can really crush a relationship. So you've got to rebuild that, right? But those people in your life who you're letting, take the power from you by, you're at their mercy, you're at their beck and call, you're over giving and they're not receiving nothing in return, if you will. Yeah, no, let them be that way and let me go invest in people who matter, who mean something to us, who make us a priority, make us feel appreciated and important. So, and in decision making, right? Well, what the hell? Let them be mad or disappointed, right? So let them be mad, let them be disappointed, and let me trust myself and make a call I know is right, right? So how can you flip that? How can you let them and let me, right? So let's say for motivation, let them wait to feel ready. Let them wait to feel ready. Me, I'm going to let me take one small step today. Progress matters more than perfection, right? So I will stay motivated even if they're not. So let's say in overthinking, Let them think what they want to think. And let me take the step anyway. Post it, start it, do it, right? So if you're overthinking something, let them think what they want to think, let them judge what they're going to, let them say what they're going to say, right? Can't control it anyway. But what you can control is what you do. So take the step anyway, speak it, post it, start it, do that thing, right? So get your power back. And that's where I said at the top of this, it's like, while we think we're in control and saying, let go or let them is like a surrendering, right? And so surrender is like surrendering to what's happening, like the nature, like I was saying, like the serenity prayer is a surrender. It's like the things I cannot control, I let go of trying to control them. The things I can control, I take my control and my power and acting upon them. So I put the power back in my hands. So I encourage you to think about that. So the act of surrender, the act of letting go, the act of let them, it's re-empowering you to put your power where it belongs, inside your own pocket, inside your own heart, in your own mind, like working on what matters to you, not all this stuff that's out in other people's business. And I had a lady friend, her son, adult son, like 30s, they're in his 30s. She's like, well, he's not getting a job and he's not making enough money and he's not this and that. And it's like, yeah, and the 30s, I'm wondering why you're still mothering. It's like that job ended when they like went out on their own. You can be their best advocate and their best support and love them to death and let them let them figure it out. Maybe they don't want the same things that we want, right? Maybe they don't see it the same ways. Maybe they're not motivated by the same things. Maybe they don't want the same outcomes that we want. Okay, let them. And in doing so, we get to watch and see, and you never know. You never know what you're going to learn. So again, letting them be, it's often teaching us more about ourselves. Like, where am I trying to fix something? And if I make space to reflect on my own triggers and the things that bother me or my own insecurities or my own growth, I tell you, the let them, it has huge ramifications in terms of like, it's an invitation to self-awareness and my own healing, where I'm thinking that needs to be controlled and it's not in my control. Good gosh, let me put my power back in my own hands and on the things that I can move the needle on, get up to the things that I want to get up to, be with the people that I want to be with, and let everybody else do their thing. And, real joy doesn't come from others changing, others being different than we think. It comes from us, it comes from within, right? And so when you take responsibility for your own happiness, when I say, it's not going to bother me that doesn't happen, or this person doesn't say that, or I say that and they refute it or dispute it or, judge it or whatnot. It just, I feel such more a state of peace and fulfillment because I'm not chasing their approval. I'm not trying to control what I can't control, right? I feel centered and grounded in myself. So that's what I'm getting out of this let them theory. And remembering, let me, right? I love that flip, that juxtaposition of, yeah, let them, and then, all right, what am I up to? What can I get up to? What do I want to let me get into? And oftentimes maybe this thing is showing up in our lives as an opportunity to examine something inside of ourselves that I've been ignoring, that we've been ignoring. And what do I need to be getting up to? Like, what can I control here? What is this signaling to me that I need to let go of, I need to be aware of, I need to grow inside me, I need to up level, take action on, or stop taking action. It's like, all right, I'm going to stop babying you, or I'm going to stop bothering you, or hunting you down, or, I was telling someone the other day, this person who's kind of gone MIA, I was like, it feels like I'm chasing after this person to apologize again, after already apologizing. Like, I just feel like, like if you don't get my apology, get who I am at my core. Yeah, I'm a good person. If something offended or did something wrong and there was nothing egregious, I promise you, this was minor stuff, if you will. That's up to them, right? That's what they're dealing with. So, and some people just take joy in feeling, victim, like her not getting clear with me on this breakdown keeps her in the victim position. She gets to stay in the victim role instead of re-empowered and back in love and affinity in our relationship. So painful to watch, but where in your life are you noticing that you maybe need to look at the let me theory and let go, or bring in the let them? So I encourage you, it's a muscle and it comes from awareness, being aware when controlling, feeling judged. Not so when you're not speaking up, you're not speaking out, or you're reaching out with your words or with your actions to try and control something. Or if you ever find yourself frustration and disappointment, those are probably clues that you're not letting something be. And then notice what you can take it, take interest in, and let yourself be at cause with, like get up to something in that. And then what is there maybe to heal? Like, I've been holding on to that judgment about that person, or I've been holding on to that expectation that's yucky. Like, where did that even come from? Or why do I even want that for that person? And I hope what you'll find through this, as I said, is, getting your power back and a lot more peace. So would love your comments, suggestions, ideas, stories, if any of this resonated for you and there's something in there for you to share with us. We'd love to hear how you are letting them and letting you get your power back. So as we always remind you here at the Everyday Awesome Project, and shout out to my friend, dear Samantha Pruitt. I miss you, lovely lady. How your life feels is more important than how it looks. And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome. Cheers, guys.